So the only variable that you really should be putting in right now is candies grab. For those of y'all who have two variables in there, right? So candies grab. And what kind of graph is this? Do we remember? A dot plot, right? Literally some dots. For those of y'all who added a y variable, do this for me. Hit menu. Okay. Actually, let me add the variable as well so I can show you how it works. So, right, because that's what a lot of us had. Go to menu. Go to, I believe it's plot properties. Does anyone see under plot properties what you might want to hit?
Remove y variable.
Remove that y variable, right? We don't want the y variable there. We just want the x variable. And so now we go back to that dot plot.
Plot properties.
Okay. Plot properties, remove your y variable. Let me turn off the light so that one, the camera can pick this up easier, but also so that you can see it. Gracie, you can stay away for me? Okay, just make sure.
Well, now the chart doesn't make as much sense.
Why not?
Because it made more sense when it was like, had our name, because it was like, Lexi had this many, Gracie had that many. That, I don't even know what that means. That's just a bunch of dots, and none of them represent anybody anymore.
I mean, they still represent people.
Well, I don't know who.
We don't
Does it matter?
It matters.
Say again.
We don't need them to represent anybody.
We don't need them to represent anybody. All I care about is how many candies were grabbed, right? But realistically, okay, and this is what we want to recognize at this point, we're now looking at the second question on here, where we're going to answer the second question on the candy grab activity. Let's say that Cameron was here. If Cameron came up and she grabbed Starburst based on this data, what would I expect her to grab? How many?
Like 13.
10 to 14.
Why are you saying 13? 10 to 13.
10, yeah, because that's where all basically the girls grab.
Not like she likes to.
Okay? So, now here's the thing, and so you're focusing on the girls, but I'm just saying as a class, right? So maybe whether it was Cameron or whether it was CD, either one of them, where would I expect them? How many candies would I expect them to grab? Say that one more time.
Around 10 to 14.
Around 10 to 14 because that's where we find our what?
Average.
Average, right? We want to recognize that if I have a set of data, the average is what I would expect to see. The average or the mean is what we expect to see. Is that fair to say? We good with that idea? So make sure on the second question here, alright, so we're looking here. What mathematical concept predicts the number of Starbursts we expect the next person to grab? Well, we expect it to be, actually, does anyone remember how we could calculate what the mean is? Yeah, do you want to do that by hand though?
No.
No? So what could we do?
In the calculator.
We can do it in the calculator, let's do that. Talk me through it, because again, this is something you're going to have to do. I'm going to tell you, we're not calculating the mean in the data and statistics page. Where do I need to go to calculate the mean? Go back to the worksheet or the list and spreadsheets, right? So go back to your list and spreadsheets. You can do the equal sign, but remember there was a way to get a whole bunch of statistics all at once. Say that a little bit louder. There's a way to get a whole bunch of stuff all at once. What one button does a lot run through in this calculator?
Menu.
Let's go to menu. Okay. What options do you think we might want to go to under menu? Maybe data.
Mine says plot type.
Did you go back to the spreadsheets?
Oh.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Does anyone see anything under data that we might want? List math? Okay, now here's the thing. Remember, if you go to list math, it gives you an option for one thing at a time, right? You can do the mean, you can do the median. But look again, what's underneath the word data under menu?
Statistics.
Statistics. We are trying to calculate statistics. Go to statistics.
Stat calculation.
Stat calculations. And then one variable statistics, right? So do not forget, we are calculating one variable statistics. And I already told you how many lists are we almost always going to have? One. I'm never going to give you more than one. It's possible to have more than one, but we're not going to do that. And then what should go under the X list? C grab. By the way, what do I mean by C grab?
How many candies?
Candies grabbed. That's all that the C was, right? Candies grabbed. So under X list, I want candies grabbed. First result column should be C because that's the first empty one.
You're putting in mean, right?
Huh?
It wouldn't let me, well, first it just deleted my thing on my, what did DJ have?
Just hit Control Z and it'll undo that. But you shouldn't have typed that there,
I
okay?
didn't type it there, I typed it in the thing below.
But it was highlighted when you went to that, but that's also why I told y'all not to do that. I told you go to statistics.
That's what.
You went under data.
You keep on one.
Click the arrow. Four, go to statistics. Stack calculations, one variable.
X.
Hit enter, dude. Number of lists should be one. There you go. Put your X variable in there. Does anybody else need me to walk them through how to calculate those statistics? We good? Everyone's got there? So, if CD or if Cameron comes up, how many candies do I expect them to grab? How many starburst?
14.9.
14.9 starburst. Which realistically, is that possible?
No.
No, but that's why it's an average is what we expect, right? How accurate do we think that that is?
Not very.
Pretty accurate, what'd you say? Why do you think it's not accurate?
Because like for KJ, for example, they grabbed 23, but then it's saying 6.4.
No, okay, so be careful, that's not what it's saying for KJ. KJ grabbed 23, but notice there's titles here and then the statistics here, right? So the mean, the average, is 14.9. If you sum all the X values, let's add up all the X values, you get 179 candies grabbed. Does anyone remember what SX stood for? That was something we just mentioned one day, but it's important here. It's called the standard deviation. That's what they're looking at when they say that's 6 point something.
Isn't it
Okay.
SD then?
Say again.
SD, standard deviation?
It's SX because it's S sub X, meaning it's the standard deviation of the X variable. Because you can have standard deviations of other variables as well. Okay, does that clarify that though, Kaylin? Okay, but how accurate do we really think it is? Do we really think that CD is going to only grab roughly 15 starburst? I don't think he's going to. Do you want to know why?
Because his candy's huge.
Because he probably has big hands. He also seems like a fairly competitive guy. I feel like he's the guy who's going to go in there and just try to grab like 30 and pull them out, right? Okay, so realistically, how accurate do we believe this is? Not very accurate. And this, remember, is also where the idea of standard deviation comes in. And I told you all this before, standard deviation is a typical amount that the data deviates from the mean, right? It's a typical or average amount. So yes, while the average was almost 15 candies, typically the number of candies you grabbed was almost 6.5 candies different from that. That's a big difference, isn't it? Okay? So one variable is not always the best, and we already talked about it. Are there any other variables that might explain how many candies people are grabbing? May not be perfect, but what variables could explain how many candies you could grab? Hand size, what else? We haven't actually done it yet. We just said, like, what could explain it? Hand size, what else? Height, what else? Male or female, which container, which we did have to change containers, right? Male versus female. In general, did males have bigger numbers of candies grabbed and females had smaller? Yes. And it wasn't a complete difference, but I mean, like, none of the girls got close to 26, 21, or 23. Right? What'd you have? 13? 15, right? That was the closest we had. So like, it's a big difference there. Were there other variables that we said might be there but might not make a ton of sense?
How long it takes us to get to school?
How long it takes you to get to school? What about how many times you could dribble a basketball in a single minute?
I feel like that would come into
Maybe that would have a correlation.
I only
How
did
could we
five.
figure it out?
Like, that's more like speed. I mean, you can test it out, but like, if I did wait here, I was like,
your hand muscles or something.
Maybe your hand muscles are related somehow. So how could we figure out if those two things are related? Test, well, be careful with that. Test kind of implies an experiment, right? We could collect the data, right, and compare those things. Sound good?
Let's dribble basketball.
well, see, I feel like if we're the ones dribbling it, that's an experiment. If I'm like going around and I'm like, oh, okay, that professional basketball player can grab 21 and he also can do this many dribbles. So I feel like that'd be observation.
But yes, but if I'm the researcher in this case. Am I imposing treatments where some people do one thing and other people do a different thing?
Oh,
We're all
No, so I'm not experimenting, I'm just observing.
no.
Say again, Lexi?
I said, because we're all doing the same thing, like we're all gonna dribble the basketball.
And that's the other thing, right? You're all doing the same thing and I'm just observing and collecting that data. I'm not applying treatments. Sound good? Say a little bit louder. I'd be observing, right, observational study. Yep.
So for that golf one, what would it be on the fact of like how they had two different putters? Would that be considered?
So the two different putters would be considered treatments, right? Maybe the experimental factors that are a part of the study. And then also remember, we developed other treatments where we did a long putter from a short distance and a short putter from a short distance, a long putter from a long distance and a short putter from a long distance, right? So we had lots of different variables that we combine things to do different treatments, right? So there's a lot of things that you can make into those. Okay, so let's pick a few variables. I had some that I wanted to make sure we hit. So we already did that detail. We already did that, talked about standard deviation. Alright, so we just need to put that in. Man, y'all want to hear the list that I actually made on my own this summer when I did this?
Sure.
Gender, height, foot size, hand size, basketball dribbles in 30 seconds, minutes to get to school, and then I came up with a really random one of approximate screen time each day, right? But y'all hit almost all of those, minus the dribbling and the going to school, because like realistically, why would that be
Oh yeah, the
explanatory?
foot size we didn't give, but that's kind of because it's like hand size.
Oh yeah, foot size did come up in my third block
It's
though.
just meaning like if you're big or not, basically.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go height. Let's go hand size, so H size. Let's go
Right.
Oh my gosh.
time to school, so TTS.
There's no.
Okay. Let's do dribbles too. We'll have to get a basketball and maybe do that on Monday, but we'll do that one as well. I think that'd be fun. Like,
It's kind of like, cause this class is hard to stay awake in.
thanks.
So sometimes.
I like having
It's
you
because
here
it's
too.
the first
I
class
know.
today and
Yeah,
it's
no
math.
offense to
Oh,
you. It is
Man, you
math.
just hurt me now because I
Okay, you
love
should
some
be
good
hurt
math.
that math is the way it is, okay? They made it like this on purpose.
I mean, God made it like this,
No,
but
No, people made it like this.
I mean, math was discovered, not created. I will say math education was created
Yeah,
by
that's what I'm
people.
saying, is like, you can use math to go out in the world and, you know, blah, 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 but to say, no matter what, I'm not going out in the world, I'm stuck in here for an hour 30 and
And it's a little bit different. I will say, there's a difference between math education and math. Math is a beautiful subject that was discovered in nature, and yes, I do not love the way we teach it. But let's be real, come on. This statistics unit is way more fun than most math you've studied. Isn't that safe to say?
It's just easy, like, but that's the point, is it's all self-explanatory, like, I don't know
I don't know
why.
about self-explanatory.
It is to
Say
me.
You know, you should do,
What?
like, you should do Kahoot.
I should do what?
A Kahoot one day.
I'll pray about it. I don't do
But
Kahoot.
I
Really
think that we
hard.
should
You
just
know,
like,
like your students learn.
we should just get up sometimes, like more often, and like just wake up, cause I know all of us.
That's why I take a
Yeah.
lap.
Alright, so let's do this. I assume we already all know our height. Is that safe to say?
No.
Yes.
Roughly. You don't know how tall you are?
5'4".
Okay.
The doctor told me that I was 5'5" again.
Okay, doctor told you 5'5". Let's go with
But
that.
I'm 5'3".
Okay, then we'll go with 5'3". It's okay. So let's go through everyone, and let's get your height in here, and then I'll show you how to calculate your hand size. So Jada, your height is 5'3". Now, if we're going to collect this data, should we put it as feet and then inches, or just inches?
Both.
Well, like 5 feet 3 inches, yeah.
5'30".
How well do you think the calculator will handle 5 and then feet and then 3 inches?
Well, it's smart, so it should be able to do it.
So just round it.
So, well, here's the thing, it doesn't handle 2 different units well.
So how
Okay,
do
because
we-
like you would have to separate those 2 numbers. So let's just make it as one single thing. So 5 feet, that'd be 60 inches, so 63 inches? Does that sound right?
Supposed to be 63 or 63 inches.
Well, 63, we know it's in inches. Okay, Jeremiah, say again. 5'10"? 7, okay, so 67 inches. Nathan, 6'2", so 72, 74 inches. Ashton,
5'3".
so 63 inches. Who's next? KJ, 5'11", so 71 inches. Grayson, dang, 5'11", 71 inches. LaShannon, 5'2", so 62 inches. Kyla,
5 feet.
so 66 inches. DJ, 5'10", so 70 inches. Caitlin, 5'5", so 65 inches. Lexi,
5'4".
5'4", so 64 inches. Gracie,
5'7".
5'7", so 67 inches. All right. So there's all of our heights. Hand size, I'll show you how to calculate in a second. Let's go ahead and do time to school. Say again. Oh, sorry. My bad.
Time to school.
Why? Why would you not?
You
Can I
go
just
ahead
get
and
it right? Do you work over or something?
I will in a second.
You're good.
All right.
Right.
So check your numbers. 63, 67, 74, 63, 71, 71, 62, 66, 70, 65, 64, 67. All right. We're good on height.
Yes.
Ready to move forward?
Who's the master?
67 for Gracie. All right, so let's do the time to school, which I'm just going to write it down up here because we can't see it all at the same time. Jada, how long does it take you to get to school? Can someone grab their phone and turn it off? 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. Jeremiah, how long does it take you to get to school?
It's my name.
Huh?
Are we typing that in?
Like, when you leave your house to get to school, how long does it take?
Yes, I think.
That's fine. 2 hours? 1 hour?
What is this?
You get on the bus at
Oh.
what time? 6? And you get here at what time? 7:40, man, woo buddy, I feel so bad for you. Okay, so that's 100 minutes. Nathan, how long does it take you to get to school? 15 minutes. Ashton,
11 minutes.
11 minutes. KJ? Say again. 15. Grayson? 3 minutes?
I live right down the street.
Yeah, gotcha. LaShannon? 20. Kyla? 10. Make sure you have those first few so that when I scroll down you can get the next handful. Huh? TTS for time to school.
Okay, if I get on the budget, 7.
Go to column that says
25.
TTS.
I gave
Dude,
you
I sent you this data.
I'm gonna do that.
I sent you a file.
I'm gonna do stuff like this one.
Oh,
It
no.
keeps me awake.
You didn't type out
He gives me
those
something to do.
variables at the top, did you? You were sleeping. No, say it ain't so. We did. So time to school is where they're putting this in right now. There's one word later, but, so time to school. Okay? So get your time to schools in there. I'm gonna scroll down at least for the first four in just a second.
Like, that scares the crap out of me every time you do it.
Everyone got the first four in?
My mom does that when I drive every time she's like, there's the grass.
Alright, so DJ, I think is where we need to start, correct?
Yeah.
30 minutes?
Ah.
Caitlin?
Probably like 45.
Lexi?
25.
Gracie?
2.
How many?
2.
2, okay. Call them out for me. This will help some of y'all get your stuff in there.
Did you not put it in?
Alright, what was the first one? I think it was Jada. 10, next one? 100, 15,
11.
3,
10, 30, 45, 2.
that's it, okay? Do we all have all 12 pieces of data in?
That is.
Can I use my ruler?
Sure.
I never get to use it. I'm going to use it for something. Ding ding.
I mean, I guess you can't measure it, but you want to hear yourself.
She's
We're not going to
got
collect that
good
data,
stuff.
I get the preview one.
okay? So, anyone want to guess how we're going to measure hand size?
Pinky to thumb.
Huh?
You did pinky to thumb.
Pinky to thumb, right?
That's
So,
not what I was gonna do.
I will say this, what's going to be more accurate, inches or centimeters? Centimeters. So use your centimeters, okay? Thumb to pinky. Figure out how wide, make it as wide as possible.
How do you do it? Wait.
You like this, like, get pinky.
You spread out your pinky to your thumb. You spread it along there. There you go. Yes.
Make your hand as wide as possible and then start.
Pinky to thumb, yep.
19.
Check it, get it as accurate as possible, maybe to the nearest half millimeter. Write it down so that you don't forget.
I got 24.
Dang. My hand's not that size.
I got 19.
Yeah, I got 19.
Wait, I feel like I might be doing wrong.
Is it on 0?
I'm not spreading mine. Are we supposed to spread them or are we
Oh,
supposed to
yes.
just
Supposed
kinda-
to spread it
Yeah,
as far as you can.
Okay, there's my pinky. I'm gonna go show my nail.
Okay.
Yeah, I got 21. 21.
I got a small one.
Alright. So let's collect that data. Jada, what was your hand size? What was your hand size?
Wait, hold up. I'm confused.
Go like this and spread your pinky and hand sword.
Under H size for hand size?
And then.
Okay, but the problem is, I didn't do that.
Okay. So I had next to height, I had H size for hand size.
18.
18 millimeters.
TTS. Oh, man.
TTS was time to school. That was when we already collected data on.
I'm just gonna put it beside TTS.
That's fine. That's fine. Because it's just going to save that variable. Jeremiah, 24 millimeters. Nathan,
23.
23. Ashton,
20.
20. KJ,
25.5.
Grayson, LaShannon, Kyla,
Ah.
okay. Make sure you have those in there.
I don't.
I know. I said make sure. I haven't moved on.
What is that? Is that a 25.5?
25.5, yep. Okay. Ready for me to scroll down? Anybody need me to wait?
Oh, now we have
Wait, oh yeah, because we haven't finished that. Alright, ready? And we're scrolling. We did Kylo last, correct?
Mhm.
Okay, so DJ? 22. Caitlin?
21.
Lexi?
19.
Gracie?
13.
Alright. Alright, make sure you got your data. Okay. I'll have to get a basketball. Actually, I assume, does someone in here at least have a basketball that they could bring to school? Okay.
Just go with
I was thinking about that, but we're gonna wait until Monday to do that part, just because we don't already have one up here. So if someone could just bring a basketball with them on Monday, just email me confirming that you have one and you'll bring it. I might have multiple people do it so we can have multiple go at the same time, but bring a basketball with you so that we can do the last little bit, which is just how many times we can dribble in a minute. Sound good? Okay, so from here, which of these explanatory variables so far do you think is going to best predict how the number of starbursts you can grab with your hand? Probably hand size, right? What do I need to do to test that theory?
Grab.
try everybody.
So we already did grab the starburst, and that's the first part of this. So notice we've already got the starburst grabbed, we've already got the data, so what do I need to do in order to see how those two things relate to each other?
Compare and contrast.
Maybe. What did some of y'all initially try to do when you made your data and statistics page? Remember how you did an X variable and a Y variable? Does anyone know what kind of graph you created in that case is called? Because those dots were kind of scattered.
Scatterplot.
We call them scatter plots. Hopefully you've seen that at some point before, yeah? Maybe.
I heard it in here.
You've heard it in here?
Yeah.
Okay, so when we have two numerical variables, notice how I said two numerical variables? Because when y'all made the scatter plots earlier, was your Y variable numerical? No, that was the name, wasn't it? Okay, so when you have two numerical variables, that's when you might want to make a scatter plot. And there are two ways to do a scatter plot on these calculators. Alright, I'm going to show you the first one right now, I'll show you the second one later. But there's a reason why I'm doing this first one the way I am. So make a new page. So insert, and insert a graph this time. We're not inserting a data and statistics page, we are going to insert a graph. Okay? So insert a graph. Remember there's plus page and grade. So hit control and then doc. Add a graph. You can also go to menu, but you can just hit control doc to do it as well. Alright, does everyone have a graph page created? Yes? Okay. So notice how it says f of x equals or f1 of x equals, and that's a function. We don't want a function. We want a scatter plot. So what single button allows us to access most operations? Menu. Hit menu. Under menu, do you see anything that might allow us to create a graph? Oh, graph entry? No way. All right, let's go to graph entry. And that's not sarcasm and CD. That's what I'm trying to point out is these calculators are very intuitively designed. And then what? And then scatterplot. Man, that's a beautiful thing. All right? As long as you know how to get started, you can get there every single time. Okay? So hit menu, go to graph entry / edit, and then scatterplot. So what variable do we need to put on the x-axis? You would think so, right? Because that was the variable we started with. But was candies grabbed the explanatory variable? And what I mean by explanatory means it explains things, which is kind of like an independent variable. So x could be the height, it could be the hand size, it could be the time to school, right? We all good with that idea? Okay. So what I want us to do is we would need to insert an x variable. Look at your calculator, look at the buttons. Does anyone see a button that might allow you to put a variable in?
Very VAR.
VAR, you don't want to know what that stands for? Variables, right? So hit VAR.
What's that?
It's just above the numbers. Okay? So variables, and let's go with height for now.
Height.
And then, so what do we want to put for y?
Candy grab.
Say again?
Candy grab.
Candy's grab, right? So there's an explanatory variable, the independent variable, the thing that's explaining what's happening. The candy is grabbed as my response variable, the dependent variable. So I go to variables, I go to, nope, that's not what I wanted. Go away. And then I want to go to candies grabbed. No, what happened to my, man, that was annoying. Hopefully y'all have better luck than me. I messed something up and I don't even know what. Alright, so height we said, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, oh, by the way, another thing is, you see how we're inserting the variable in there? You can also just type it out. So notice if I start with the C, how it's kind of italicized, GR still italicized, A, B. See how I bolded right away? So you can type out the name of the variable as well. That's an option. Once you have both of those in there, hit enter. Maybe.
Mine didn't work.
I hit enter and it disappeared.
Yeah.
It disappeared.
Nothing showed up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's to be expected. Hold on 1 second. I need to be able to get mine to enter. Did it store?
I think we should just call it a day.
No.
I like communicate one.
Alright, so we've got height.
Colin, you
Hey,
just.
don't be rude.
You think that's it?
Candy's grabbed. Enter.
Who are we gonna play
Don't worry about
Huey sound.
Why do you say don't worry about it?
it. Good, she was being rude.
They're always and then let me hear it.
You think my enter button is just broken, or you think my computer is broken?
No, because when I.
It's good night, go.
Oh, good night, go.
Good night.
Just like one extra.
Well, it won't, but it's not even letting me
Uh,
grab it. Do I have the right height? C grab.
I think it is that one.